Hello everybody, in the third lesson of the French horn course for beginners. In this lesson I'm going to be talking about how to start playing on the horn, how to make a decent sound, how to do a proper attack, and what goes on inside the body when you play the horn. In the last lesson I talked about buzzing on the lips and buzzing on the mouthpiece, and today we're going to go one step forward, that is playing already on the horn. And these three are very much connected. One thing that people don't really understand at first is that your main instrument is not the horn itself. This is only an amplifier, and your main instrument is your body. So today we're going to be covering all the aspects of what you need to know before you can make a decent sound on the horn. In the first lesson of this course I talked about breathing and breathing warm-up exercises, and that is the bass. The bass is the air. A beautiful tone is made here in the chest area and in the throat. In order to make a beautiful sound on the horn you need to relax your chest and your throat. A good way of looking at this is to think about how would you sing the same things you play on the horn. And singing in a lot of ways is very similar to horn playing. The way you use the breathing system is quite similar. Also, what goes on here in the chest and in the throat is pretty similar to singing. The next thing what you need to be aware of is what's going on in your mouth. The tongue controls the height of the note. If you imagine that you're saying a letter O while you're playing, the tongue will automatically go lower, and then it is a lot easier to play low notes. If you say A or E, that is more for the middle range, and if you really want to play high, then you have to say E. The air comes from the air pipe, from your lungs, and it passes over the tongue and goes through your embouchure into the mouthpiece and into the horn. And depending on the height of your tongue, you can control the speed of the air, thus controlling which note are you playing. On the horn, you can push one specific valve or not push any valves at all, and you can already play a lot of notes with this configuration. That's called the natural harmonic series. The next thing, what I talked about in the last lesson, the jaw has to go forward when you play higher or lower. When you play lower, the jaw also has to go down and forward. So in short, that was it. And all these things I talked about work in coordination. What is the really difficult thing, why you need to practice the instrument for a lot of years to master this, is how to coordinate all of these things in the proper way. So before I show you how to play a note on a horn, I want to talk about the steps that you have to do before you start playing. And this is one of the most difficult things to learn about horn, is just how to start the note properly. And it gets increasingly difficult when you have to start a note high and quiet. So the first step you need to do is hold your horn with both hands. I covered in the first lesson how to have to hold the horn properly. Put the horn to your lips. Make sure that the mouthpiece is already sitting nicely on the lower lip before you breathe in. Breathe in as relaxed as you can. When you have taken a good breath, take about 1 second to fix your embouchure in place. Make sure that the tongue is right behind your upper teeth. At the same time, create a little bit of tension in your diaphragm. The last step, what you only need to do is say ta, and the tongue will go away from the teeth and the air will just flow through. You can experiment with different type of syllables, what you can say. The two most popular are ta or da. So also depending on what you are playing, you can vary between these two. That was the basic of just starting a sound. The first exercise that I would recommend you to do when you just started practicing horn is long tones. So you basically play one note at a time. You can do 4 seconds or 8 seconds. Make sure that you start a little bit softer and make a little bit of a crescendo till the middle part of the note, and then make a diminuendo till the end of the note. That also will teach you how to control the airstream a little bit better. You can play as high as you can, and also afterwards you can then go from C to lower. This exercise is really good in building up your facial muscles. It is quite heavy, so you don't need to practice this very much. It's a good exercise to start with, and do this for about 5, maybe maximum 10 minutes. What I would also recommend in the beginning is that you play this with a tuner. The next exercise I want to show you is a little bit more about the attack. It starts with 2 quarter notes, then there's a half note, and then there's a full note. Also, this exercise I would recommend you play first with a tuner. The main purpose of this exercise is to practice the beginning of the note. All the steps that I talked about before, you have to do very quickly before every note. And a third exercise I want to show you is basically playing on the notes of a triad. So it involves long tones, but also with a little bit of flexibility mixed in. A couple of tips that I can give you for this exercise is that for each note you can think a different syllable in your head. So that will help you to get control over what the tongue is doing. Another thing which is important to be aware of is that when you go higher, the jaw has to go a little bit forward. So make sure you already anticipate how much the jaw has to be forward for the next note that you play. So the note before, you already need to start preparing the jaw for the note after. So these were the basics. Thank you for watching. I hope these tips will help you. The upcoming lessons are going to be a little bit more categorized. I'm going to be talking separately about exercises for attack, flexibility, and power exercises.